Just on the way down from Prescott, and the bike's riding pretty good. Recently did some maintenance to it, because even though I haven't had it for 2 years, the bike was more than 2 years old, and so needed to flush the brake fluids and change the antifreeze, the coolant. So I did all that this past week, and it's really actually pretty easy. For the brake fluid, I got a vacuum pump from Harbor Freight, and actually it was Science Biker kind of reminded me of it because he did his, and I thought, oh yeah, I got the same mileage, same year bike. So anyways, did it, and the antifreeze was actually really easy. The only thing is like there's a drain plug right below the water pump. It's right there, that little plug right there. It looks like a bolt. It's actually a drain. And when I was draining it, I found that this bottom hose here held some coolant, so I just pulled that off of the radiator and drained it out, flushed it, and didn't refill it with motorcycle specific antifreeze, but I did do a quality long life pre-mixed antifreeze that I had left over. It was it was still sealed, still in a sealed container, and it's it was a good 5-year 100,000 mile coolant. And so I changed it, and you change it again after 2 years. I mean, in a car it would be good for 100,000 miles, but motorcycles a little bit more high performance, higher RPM, a lot more stress on the motors, and so it's done. It was actually really pretty easy. Now, recently I did upgrade my seat, because the little trip that I had on that All Arizona, or that Arizona Motor Blockers meetup, it was a little bit of a long ride, and I found that the stock Yamaha seat, well, it looks nice, it matches the lines of the bike, but it doesn't match the lines of what really matters the most. And so I picked up this Sargent seat. I've had it for a little while now. I've got a few miles on it. I did put my Alaska Leathers sheepskin on it, just because I had it, and it adds just a little bit of padding, but not really. But you could see that it's a little bit different shape. It's shaped more the shape of the rider rather than the shape of the bike. So already got several hours on it, and got a few hours on it today, and it's absolutely perfect. I knew it would be, because I had the Sargent seat on my Kawasaki also, and that was equally as comfortable. I didn't buy the pillion seat. If I did, then it would match, because see, the material it's got like this carbon fiber, look-alike, this carbon fiber pattern, and this doesn't. So I couldn't see spending another $200 for a seat that never gets used, except to sometimes I'll put things on it, bungee a duffel bag or something, but it's working really well. I also a little update on the chain lube. I did find some stuff. I think it's called PS1. I actually tried it off of the recommendation of of somebody at where'd I get it? Cycle Gear. Went to Cycle Gear. I was just looking. They have a lot of them. They have a big selection. And so this one, it's clear, as you can see. It's still clear, so it makes the chain still look nice and clean. Looks like it doesn't have anything on it, but this kind of comes out really watery in a spray can, and then you just kind of keep moving keep rotating the chain until it dries. And I mean, it will sling a little bit, but the other stuff that I had previous, it slung a lot. This really, really doesn't sling hardly any. And I did have it the first time I used it. I ran about 400 miles on it and cleaned the chain. And I expected that the chain would be kind of dirty because of it's got kind of a sticky to the feel to it. But the chain really wasn't dirty at all. It hadn't picked up dust or nothing, and there was no black, no nothing. I mean, it was, and it's typically pretty dusty here. So that's the one I'm going to try right now. Now, I did hear about another one that is a dry lube for O-ring chains, and I got to do some more research on that, but I don't know how that's going to be. But for now, this PS1, excellent stuff. I've been really happy with it, and still to this day, about got over 4,000 miles, but I've never had to adjust the chain. The chain is just not not showing any signs of wear. And I think that typically, if you maintain your chain, if you keep it clean and lubed, you could probably expect 30,000 miles from what I'm hearing. Now, a little update on the suspension. I did a video a while back on suspension. I do have my suspension adjusted. It's a lot better than it was. But the problem is, these Japanese bikes were made for, a 130-pound male or a 130-pound rider, and that's how it was set. So you can see this smaller nut here, this smaller adapter. This is a 14 millimeter. That is the preload, and you see I have the preload turned all the way to the max, just to have enough sag to keep the bike right. So it's working for me. I'm able to, it's holding the road good. I got the rebound adjusted just right, and it's working for me pretty well. But the only thing is if I get any heavier, or I mean by having like extra luggage or extra passenger, I'm going to be kind of right at the edge there. So at some point I'll have to replace the spring, and I'll probably do that sometime down the road whenever I have to change the fork oil, because there's nothing noted in the service manual about changing fork oil. But everything that I've been reading and hearing, you want to do it on kind of a frequent basis, because you get metal particles from the chain, from the spring working up and down, and so it'll become less efficient. And then once it gets really dirty, then you start getting into compromise with your fork seals, and your fork seals will start leaking, and then you have to change it. So at some point I'll upgrade the springs. I'll have to figure out which springs I can get. They're about $85 for the set, depending. I mean, they're all the same price, but you just, depending on which spring rate that I get. The other thing is the rear shock it's not set to max, but it is set to like the second to the highest rating. So it seems to be working pretty well. I mean, even with the stuff that I'm carrying, I mean, and what you want is you want pretty equal ride height, equal amount of sag between the front and the rear. And so the way that I have it adjusted now, I do have that. And the other thing that I learned also is with the rebound, you want to adjust the rebound so that the front and the rear, will rebound at the same time. And what I mean by that is when you press the bike down, you don't want one to come up faster than the other. You want to, if you press the bike down, you want them to come up the same speed. Because I mean, it's not like a car where you have 4 wheels and 4 corners and a lot more stability. On a bike, your suspension needs to be tuned, so you need to have equal on the on the sag and equal on the damping. So, and I have that. It seems to be riding very well. I've been doing the mountain roads today, and it's doing very good. But anyways, as for the Sergeant seat, I'm very, very happy with it. I mean, it's $300, after shipping, So, but you got to ask yourself, what's your comfort worth, So, if you spend a lot of hours on the bike, you got to do what you got to do. If there's something else that you want to know or something you want to see, just leave it in the comments, and I'll do my best to get it up there. All right, be safe.